The rain had already begun to fall gently over the memorial park, as if the sky itself was mourning a man whose presence had shaped generations of actors, filmmakers, and fans. The passing of veteran actor Lee Soon-Jae sent a deep tremor through the entertainment world, but nothing captured the heartbreak of the moment more than the quiet, uncontrollable tears of Lee Jun-Ho and YoonA as they stood beside his widow, images that would leave fans around the world speechless. Today's story is not just about grief. It is about legacy, unexpected comfort, and the powerful connection that bound these three people together in a moment of raw humanity. And to our viewers, thank you for joining us again. Your love and support are always appreciated, and I hope this story reaches your heart the way it did mine. When Lee Soon-Jae passed away, many expected an emotional farewell, but no one anticipated just how visible Lee Jun-Ho and YoonA would be. They had always spoken with such affection about him, ever since they worked together during the promotions of their drama. He wasn't just a senior actor, he was a mentor, a father figure in moments when the industry felt cold, and a warm presence who made even the most intimidated juniors feel seen. So when the day of the funeral arrived, fans noticed their absence from social media days before. It was clear they were already grieving deeply in private. But the world truly understood the weight of their sorrow when they stepped into the funeral hall, eyes swollen, faces pale, and hands trembling ever so slightly. Lee Soon-Jae's wife, who sat quietly greeting mourners with remarkable strength despite her overwhelming loss, seemed particularly moved when she saw them. For years, she had watched her husband speak about Jun-Ho and YoonA with genuine affection. He often called them children with sincerity, admiring how they respected their seniors in an industry where formality was often practiced only in appearance. Seeing them approach her, visibly struggling to hold themselves together, seemed to break something inside her, not in a painful way, but in a profoundly tender one. YoonA was the first to kneel beside her. Witnesses said she clasped the older woman's hands with a grip so tight and desperate, it was as though she was trying to absorb some of the widow's strength. She whispered something no one else could hear, but it made the widow burst into tears, covering her mouth as her body shook. In that moment, it didn't matter that cameras were outside or that fans were waiting for updates. What mattered was that the woman who had just lost her lifelong companion was now being held by someone her husband had cherished in his final years. Not as a colleague, but as a daughter of the heart. Lee Jun-Ho stood behind YoonA at first, unable to speak as he struggled to steady his breathing. For someone known for his confidence on screen and on stage, the sight of him wiping his tears repeatedly was heartbreaking. Fans would later say they had never seen him so visibly shattered. When the widow finally looked up at him, he bowed deeply, so deeply that it expressed more than words ever could. She reached out and touched his shoulder, and the moment he lifted his head, their eyes met. That was when he completely broke. His voice cracked as he apologized for crying too much, admitting that he hadn't been prepared to say goodbye to someone who treated him like family. Those who were there said the widow gently told him that her husband admired him greatly, that even in his last weeks he would smile whenever Jun-Ho appeared on TV. That single sentence made Jun-Ho collapse to his knees beside her, hiding his face as the grief poured out. It was a moment that left the entire hall silent. The kind of silence that comes only when everyone present understands the depth of another person's pain. For Lee Soon-Jae's wife, seeing these two young stars mourn so deeply meant more than anyone knew. It showed her that her husband's influence, kindness, and wisdom had stretched far beyond the home they built together. He had not only enriched the industry, but had also touched the hearts of those he mentored in ways that would endure long after his passing. Knowing this brought her a sense of peace, an assurance that her husband's teachings, humor, and warmth would continue to live on through people like Jun-Ho and YoonA. Some staff at the funeral quietly shared that she later told close family members how grateful she was for their presence. She said that seeing them cry so sincerely made her feel less alone, as though her husband's legacy was being carried by people who truly understood him. Those words revealed a powerful truth. Sometimes, the presence of those who loved the deceased in their own way becomes a comforting reminder that the loss is shared, that the memories are carried collectively, and that grief, though heavy, connects hearts in ways nothing else can. As the funeral progressed, Jun-Ho and YoonA stayed by the widow's side longer than most guests. They helped guide elderly relatives, offered tissues when she grew emotional, and stood quietly with her during the most difficult parts of the service. Their respectful silence spoke volumes. They weren't there as celebrities. They were there as people who loved and missed a man who had impacted their lives deeply. When it came time for the final farewell, all three stood together. YoonA held the widow's hand tightly, while Jun-Ho stayed on her other side, ready to support her if she faltered. As the doors slowly closed for the last viewing, YoonA broke down again, covering her mouth to stifle her sobs. Jun-Ho placed a hand on her back, his own tears falling freely, while the widow, despite her grief, gently patted both their hands as though they were her own children. The moment was so touching that even the staff nearby reportedly turned away to wipe their eyes. When Lee Soon-Jae's wife walked out after the final rites, she leaned briefly on YoonA's arm, not out of weakness but out of trust. She had just said goodbye to the partner who had walked beside her for decades, but she wasn't walking into the world alone. She had two young people who cared for her husband so genuinely that their grief intertwined with hers, giving her strength she didn't expect to find. Fans who later heard about their emotional breakdown reacted with overwhelming compassion. Many said it showed the pure-hearted nature of both Jun-Ho and YoonA, how fame had never made them forget the values of gratitude, respect, and humility. Others expressed how their sincerity comforted not only the widow, but also countless fans who admired Lee Soon-Jae from afar. In a world where celebrity relationships are often dismissed as superficial, this moment reminded everyone that real bonds do exist. Bonds shaped by mutual respect, shared memories, and the quiet moments behind the cameras, where wisdom is passed from one generation to the next. For Jun-Ho and YoonA, the loss of Lee Soon-Jae was more than the passing of a senior. It was the loss of someone who believed in them, encouraged them, and reminded them to approach their craft with humanity. As they left the funeral hall, they made sure not to attract attention. They walked behind the widow until she reached her car, making sure she was surrounded by warmth and support. Even after she was safely inside, they bowed deeply toward the vehicle, a gesture that showed their ongoing respect not just for her, but for the man she loved. For Lee Soon-Jae's wife, that moment stayed with her. She reportedly said later that she felt comforted knowing her husband left behind not only an extraordinary legacy, but also young artists who would remember him with sincerity. And in her heart, the tears of Lee Jun-Ho and YoonA became part of the love story she had shared with her husband, a reminder that he had touched more lives than she ever fully understood. As we wrap up this emotional story, I want to thank every viewer for staying with me through this heartfelt journey. Your support means the world, and I hope this story brought you closer to understanding the love, respect, and connection that continue to shape the Korean entertainment world. Let's keep supporting one another, just like they did in that unforgettable moment of grief, respect, and unity.